Today we're going to react to an article by Bleacher Report called Blockbuster NBA Trades ready for teams that are ready to risk it all. I mean, the cover is Giannis, so I can only imagine where this is going to go, but I don't know how many trades are in here, but we'll see. Let's All right. Pistons go for Zion as a co-star for Cade. Okay. So the Pistons will receive Zion. The Pelicans will receive Jaden Ivey, Tobias Harris, Bobby Clintman, a 2027 first rounder, top three protected, and a 25 second round pick. Um, I think if you were to do a trade that would get a player like Zion, you would want to have some stretchability from your center, and Jalen Duren just isn't that currently. Um, and you trade away Tobias Harris, who he needs to be in there for the money to match, I'm sure. But I don't know. It's intriguing as a lob threat for Cade, obviously, and again, like it says, it gives the Pistons a co-star, but I think Zion has too many risks on his name to just give up Jaden Ivey, who hasn't proven too much in this league, but he in his 30 or so games this year, he averaged like 17, 4, and 4. His shooting is still up in the air because he was a good shooter this year, but it was a smaller sample size. And who knows what this, first rounder could be at some point. I mean, you would assume that the Pistons are on an upward trajectory from here, but again, 2027 is a far ways away. So I don't know. I think I would decline this trade if I was the Pistons, just because I don't think Zion is necessarily what the Pistons are looking for, other than him being a top talent. I mean, if we read why the Pistons do it, external upgrades are certain. Yep, needs a legitimate co-star. His teammates aren't ready. A high producer, but see this, a healthy Zion. That's not a guarantee. I can't even say anymore. It's not a guarantee. He is a great player when healthy, but I, I don't know. And then the Pelicans, they are 6 years into the Williamson era, nothing to show for it. And I think that's another reason why the Pistons would say no. And I didn't even talk about the Pistons side of this. So that means they would have Jaden Ivey, they would have DeJounte Murray, they would have CJ McCollum, they would have Trey Murphy, Herb Jones. That's so many people to get in a guard. And he wouldn't start. And I think if you're trading your star player, you're one of the best, hype players out of a draft we've seen in a while, for a guy that's just gonna come off your bench. I don't think I just I don't agree too much with this one. So I'm gonna say no to this one. Next. Yeah, okay. Rockets fix their offense with Durant. Okay. Yes, we've talked about this before. I wonder what the extras are, but let's see. So Houston just gets KD. The Suns get Fred VanVleet to make the money match. I believe this would have to be a sign and trade because Fred VanVleet is a free agent. Cam Whitmore, who hasn't got a lot of burn on this team because it's heavily it's a heavy wing team, a 2025 first, a 2027 first, and a 2028 first round pick, lottery protected. I believe these picks, when it says their own, they are talking about the Phoenix Suns. So the Suns would get their 25 and 27 first round picks back, but then they would also get a 2028 pick. Wow, okay. So they pump faked us with the Jabari Smith thing here. And I don't know. I don't think this is enough player wise. I think you would potentially have to throw in a Jabari Smith or a Tari Eason or something, like maybe even a Reed Shep. Like I don't think Cam Whitmore is enough, because this is honestly just salary filler, right? Like this is literally just so the salary can fit. Um, I don't even know if he would stay on that team if he gets traded there, but I don't think player-wise this is enough. And then you bring in Kevin Durant. I mean, that means well, what does that mean for the starting line? So that means probably you have a men at the 1, Jalen Green. Uh, I don't know if they would still have Dylan Brooks in this scenario, but let's say they don't. So you have a men, Jalen Green, Durant, Jabari, Sengun. I don't think there's enough defensively in there. I mean, Jabari and Amen, obviously, but Jabari still needs to prove his defensive upside a little bit more. And then I'm, I don't know. But then that means off the bench you've got Tari Eason, Jayshawn Tate when he's back. I assume Reed Shepherd would maybe get a little bit of burn this next season, and then whoever else you sign. I don't know. I like the idea of Houston getting a Kevin Durant or a top tier guy, but I don't know if the Suns accept just Cam Whitmore. I like what they did with the picks. I think the picks is what them getting their own picks is I think what would make Phoenix determined to accept this or think about this, but I honestly don't know how much they care about a Cam Whitmore. I think they would maybe rather a Jabari Smith because I think, or maybe you do Jabari and Cam because Cam to me honestly doesn't have a lot of value as of right now because he just hasn't gotten he just hasn't proven a lot yet. So, um, this is close. This is close to being a really good trade in my opinion. I just think the Houston Rockets would have to go and maybe get another defensive piece, or maybe instead of starting Jabari, you start Atari Eason to get some a little bit better defensive player in there instead of Jabari. And Jabari's like this super six man. But I mean, we know why the Rockets need a go-to scorer contending for a championship. Their defense is built. Um, Ime, who's worked with Durant in Brooklyn and on Team USA. The Suns do it. They burned a bridge with Durant, yeah, blindsiding him. So we know Durant is getting moved this offseason, but it's just to where. Um, yeah, controlled 3 of their next 5 first-round picks. Yeah, I like what they did with the picks. I think this is really close to being a good trade, but I don't know if I think there is one piece away from the Suns saying yes. Whoa, Heat find their star in Ja Morant. Okay, so right, the Grizzlies, since they've been eliminated, um, right, like they need to make drastic changes because that core three of Bane, Morant, and Jaren just isn't working too well. Ja is still pretty young. He does have some injury problems that we've seen the past couple years, but I don't know. There's something there to where the or the Grizzlies just aren't. It just feels like something's missing, and I really don't know what they would be getting back in this because to just by reading this, it sounds like the Heat are keeping Tyler Hero and Bam, and if they are, then the Grizzlies are taking a step backwards, and I don't know if that should already be happening for Memphis. But let's see. So Miami received Ja and Jay Huff. The Grizzlies received Duncan, Kyle Anderson, Jovic, Jaquez, a 25 first round pick via Golden State, which it's probably going to be like the 18th overall pick, 19th overall pick, 2029 top 4 protected, and um now these picks are the 2029, even though I would probably want to get this unprotected just because of the what Ja Morant could be, and the 2031 are intriguing because Miami doesn't seem like they're not built for the future, if we're being honest. They've got some intriguing things between Bam, even Khalil Ware, Tyler Hero, but I don't know. But let's read. Why do the Miami Heat do this? It's first losing season since 2018, 2019, and they were a no-show. Um, There's going to be a lot of changes. You're right for the Heat, yes. Their half court scoring is, yes, not great. Their star power isn't great. Um, it just seeing this on paper just doesn't seem great to me because you look just at John Bam. Bam hasn't shown a flourished offensive game to where he can play with a guy like Ja who needs the paint wide open for him. And then Tyler Hero, I mean, he's had his best season when he was the lead ball handler. And now if that goes back to Ja, I think you're losing that production from Tyler Hero. But again, that production from Tyler Hero wasn't doing anything for you anyways. So I don't think that's the worst thing in the world, but I don't know. I mean, I understand why Miami does. I guess it's why the Grizzlies do it that I'm having trouble understanding. So while Memphis Morant is off limits, the basketball world doesn't seem to be buying it. To McMahon, whispering and rumbling. Okay, who won a single playoff series during Morant's sixth season in Memphis might want to try something new and see what happens if they try tailoring their roster around Jaren and Desmond Bain. This deal would deliver plug and play contributors. Yeah, but if I'm being honest, this doesn't. You first of all, they're not getting a guard in return, and I don't know if this Grizzlies team who's getting plug and play players, and what we mean by plug and players um is one of the worst contracts in basketball. Kyle Anderson, who I don't really have anything to say. We know who he is. We know what he's known for, but it's Kyle Anderson. He's on the older side. Nikola Jovic, who to me hasn't proven much, and Jaime Jaquez, who couldn't even play on this garbage Miami team. I don't know. I really don't know. Um, again, the three first, it is intriguing, but I think if Ja's the first one to go for Memphis, I think they're tearing it down completely. I think they're more likely to have to get rid of Jaren, or because Jaren is probably going to make All NBA this year, and his pay is going to be insane for a guy who can't even stay on the floor because he can't keep his hands to himself. So I do not like this trade whatsoever. I think it's intriguing for Miami, but I don't think the fit is there. And I just don't like those top two being guards next to each other. But yeah, I don't know. All right, next. Raptors win the Giannis sweepstakes. Okay, so if I think just off the bat, I would assume this is RJ Barrett. This is probably Grady Dick. Um and picks galore, but let's see. So Giannis and Pat Connaughton. Oh, they trade Brandon Ingram before he ever played a game. RJ Barrett, a 2025 first round pick, top two protected, 2027 pick, 2029 pick, and 2031. It's a small detail, but you cannot protect these picks if you're trading for Giannis. They're going to ask for him completely unprotected. This is Giannis Antetokounmpo. This is intriguing though. Brandon Ingram to me, one of these guys to me would be good to keep alongside Giannis as a wing. But then I guess you do have the thing of like, so you point guard would be. I don't even know who they would consider to be a point guard. I guess they do the thing with Scotty Barnes basically being their guard, but Scotty Barnes, Grady Dick, maybe like Ochai Agbaji, Giannis, Jakob Pertl. Again, as of now, how do I feel about that? Scotty Barnes and Giannis defensively, that's insane. Jakob Pertl. What did Jakob Pertl do offensively this year? Like he's just a player that I don't know a lot about because he plays for a team. So he averaged about 15 points, 9 rebounds, about a block and a steal in 57 games for the Toronto Raptors. I mean, 33% from three, but it looks like he literally only attempted a couple. He attempted three. He was 1 for 3 on the season. I don't like the spacing. I don't like the spacing around Giannis though there because Scotty Barnes hasn't proven to be a plus jump shooter yet, and I think that's again something that around like 27% from three Scotty was this year on 4 attempts. And I guess yeah, last year he was 34%, but I don't. And I mean, you get Grady Dick, who's a good shooter. Um, but let's see why the Raptors do it. Well, the Raptors 3 consecutive seasons without a playoff trip. A solid trade asset is still on the roster. It's why RJ Barrett. Yeah. Oh, I guess they do still have Emmanuel Quickly. Okay, so Emmanuel Quickly would be the guard. So Emmanuel Quickly, Grady Dick, Scotty Barnes, Giannis, and Pirtle. I wonder if this is a team because they're talking about how Pirtle is a good trade asset. I wonder if this is where Giannis would start his center career. Um, I don't know. I feel like yeah, because I guess you keep any of these, you have a log jam at the forward position unless you are doing the Giannis at center thing. But I don't know. This just isn't the young talent I think that Milwaukee would be looking for Giannis. Like I think they would honestly rather instead of like a Brandon Ingram, they would rather get Grady Dick or they would rather have I don't know. I mean, they're getting their 2025 for this year, but I don't know. That's just not a this just doesn't seem like something the Bucks would be interested in player wise. The picks, I think it would be something, but again, they're getting Giannis on the team, so but I don't know. But why Bucks do it? I don't know. I haven't really thought about him being on the. I think that's that. Yes, that's the end of the article. But I don't know. That's a strange spot for him. I think the best trade that we had was the Kevin Durant one up here. I think this is the closest that could very well happen this offseason, and I think will be a very big talking point between these two teams. But I don't know. I don't know if Giannis one. I don't know if Giannis gets moved that quickly. Two, I don't know if it's a team like Toronto, especially for what they are getting back. So I don't know. It was some of these were good ideas, but I don't know. It's going to be an eventful off season. That's all. That's what I have to say. But that's it. This is a somewhat of a newer thing that we're doing where we will react to things like this, especially as we get towards the off season. We'll react to mock drafts and off season articles and anything like that too. But with the teams that have gotten eliminated, I thought this was appropriate to, kind of check at because I mean, are all these guys are eliminated. Cade, Zion, Durant, Morant, all these guys are eliminated. So maybe, after the finals is over, we see, probably a bigger article, but we're still doing stuff reacting to the playoffs and giving our take on it. The second round just started, so we'll have, a lot to talk about in the upcoming weeks.